in songs and in words in our midst this morning. And he's going to be a very, very special blessing to us. Without much waste of time, I want us to put our hands together for him. And let me even say this, because some of you sometimes, there's a way you size up speakers, and that will determine whether you be blessed or you be not blessed. This same person is someone who has represented, I think it was in November also, sir, if I'm correct, that he returned from representing the Nigerian youths in one of these African countries. So he is not just a national voice. His voice is already going across the shores of Nigeria to Africa and eventually to the world. Are we not privileged this morning to have someone in our midst? You will do better. Put your hands together to welcome Chima Ernest.
Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you so much. Please, can you help me do a big video? Okay, sir.
So, good morning, everybody.
It's a ready video. Yes, yes.
Good morning, everybody. Please, can you put your hands together for yourself?
Thank you.
Can you do me the honor and the pleasure of having your seat? So, thank you so much. My name is Chima Ernest Okoli. My name is Chima Ernest Okoli. I'm a project manager, a programs manager. I am Africa's leading accountability expert. I help people to achieve their goals in that light. And I do several other things as regards youth and gender inclusion, and there's so much I can say as regards an introduction that may just fly over your head, so I'll just put it this way. I help people to achieve their goals. And today, there's no challenge. And today I'm going to talk to you about something very important, something that I hold there, something that I hope that a lot of us in Africa can embrace and kill together so that we will make progress. And that thing is procrastination. How many of us know what procrastination is? Oh, that's interesting. We'll start with an icebreaker. There's something very important I want us to do. How many of us knows how to snap our fingers? Yes, so if I say something and you can relate, it has happened to you before, you just snap your finger instead of clapping. You understand? So, have you ever submitted an assignment, they've marked it and they returned it back to you? Then you found out that you didn't do so well. But if you had done that particular assignment 2 days earlier, you might have gotten a higher mark. So if you can relate. Have you ever written a test? You knew this test was coming and you took the test, and when they returned the script you found out that I got a mark and I just made a very silly mistake or something like that. If I had taken more time to pay more, I'm not even finished. we have all been there. We have all been there. And one of the major reasons why we have these experiences is because of this simple word called procrastination. It's not procrastination, it's procrastination. So, please, can you help me be quiet? Why we get less results, why we get less impact than we should have, is basically most primarily because of that single word, procrastination. And it is sad that we live in a society where procrastination is modeled for us day in, day out by our parents, by our teachers, by our government, you just name it. Especially in this side of the world, in Africa, we live in a world where this procrastination is modeled for us. And I will tell you that no matter what I say to you, it will not have as much impact in your life as what I do. Let me explain. A lot of us, our parents may say, don't lie, don't lie, don't lie. But they pick up the phone in your presence and they're still in the house. They tell the person, I'm coming, I'm almost there. Look at the junction. If you can relate, do like this. And so that message of do not lie doesn't go anywhere, because we are modeling something else. Human beings are a product of modeling. We are just a product of modeling. If you have not seen an airplane before, you will never dream of becoming a pilot. How many of us truly, if they ask us today, I want to be a rocket scientist, how many of us have dreams like I want to be a rocket scientist? How many of us have said it before? You see, none of us have said it. But if we go on an excursion to the National Space Center, the day I take you, 3 or 4 of you, on an excursion to the National Space Center, I am sure in the next 2 or 3 weeks, 1 or 2 of you will say, I want to fly something into space. I want to become a satellite engineer. I want to become a rocket engineer. Why hasn't it crossed your mind before? Because it has not been modeled. Because you have not seen it, you have not felt it, you have not encountered it. So what is procrastination? I just laid a simple background before I get to what I actually want to say. So what is procrastination? You know what procrastination is? I'll do it later. I'll do it tomorrow. If I go via typical dictionary definitions, it may fly over your head, but you just repeat after me. What is procrastination? Tell me, I'll do it later, I'll do it tomorrow. So what is procrastination? I'll do it later, I'll do it tomorrow. What is procrastination? I'll do it later, I'll do it tomorrow. Will you forget this? Yes. The goal of breaking this down is so that you will not forget it. So I want to quickly just warm my way to your heart by doing some exercises with you. We began with, when I say what is procrastination, what will you say? I'll do it later, I'll do it tomorrow. Okay, so just snap your finger for yourself, like this. Give yourself a snap of applause. And the second thing I want to say, when I say if it is important, you respond, I will do it every day. So if it is important, I'll do it every day. If it is important, I'll do it every day. What is procrastination? I'll do it later, I'll do it tomorrow. If it is important, I'll do it every day. What is procrastination? I'll do it later, I'll do it tomorrow. Great. So I would permit me to tell you a short story. Sometime in my university days, first of all, from secondary school, I was even meant to represent my school in the cowbell mat competition by JS3, and something happened. I think I wasn't feeling fine, so I'm fielding my place and all of that. FGBC boys and go. Great. So I was a very smart student. Then SS1, SS2 happened, and I had the teenage life crisis. I stopped going to class. I would just hang in the dining hall, and my grades suffered. So when I got into the university, I was given statistics. I said no. I got admission for statistics. I said no, I didn't want to do statistics. So I opted for remedials, University of Abuja here. I did my remedials. So for 3 years, I wasn't a very good student. From like primary school up until JS3, I was a good student. From SS1 to SS3, I wasn't that much of a good student. So for 3 years, I wasn't that much of a good student, and so my grades suffered, and I was just trying to scrape by. So I felt that I was not good academically. Some of the people that know me here will say, hey, with the type of things that you say, yes, there was a point in my life I felt like I wasn't going to do well academically. And so I said my remedial. The way remedial works, you won't get your results until like 1 full year. And my result came out 2 A's, 3 B's. I'm like, oh, that's new. That's interesting. My 100 level result came out 4.3, my 100 level first semester came out 4.33 GPA. That's like as high as you can get. Just I missed first class just narrowly, and so I felt I've arrived. And in my second semester, all the things that made me succeed in my remedial and my first semester, I left it because why? I'm a bright student, right? I remember what is procrastination.
I'll read later, I'll read tomorrow.
So I was like, okay, I can always read later. I can always do it later. I can always do it tomorrow. And so my first paper came, and I went in to write my paper. And the way the questions were looking at me, I knew them all, but the way I would love to answer the answer wasn't answering. You understand what I'm saying? The math wasn't mathing. It just, I was like, you know this thing. Write it now. I studied geography and environmental management. So, and you have to do a lot of explanation, you have to do a lot of giving of examples and all of that. And for some strange reason, I know that I know this thing. But writing is an issue. I now had malaria at the spot immediately. It triggers malaria. Why? Because I'll do it later.
I'll read tomorrow.
And after that exam, I came out, I knew I had messed up. It signaled to me that my hopes of finishing with a first class, I dashed them that year, that particular day. It's a very sad encounter. But I left that exam hall with my malaria, and I began to do those things that I did like for the past one month, 1 year and 6 months thereabout. It can happen to you, it can happen to anybody. There's nobody that is too intelligent, there's nobody that is too good that can all of a sudden one day just choose to stop doing what they've been doing all along. Then after some 3 months or 6 months, you now wake up and say, I want to come and do it again. And you think that you are going to perform that way. How many of you have, let's leave that. So that was really sad for me, and I got back to reading again. And from that day, I told myself, whether school is in session, whether school is not in session, I'm going to read. And so from that day until I finished, I ensured that, the internet was relatively new then, at least as we know in the third world, and I'll just sit down and Google topics in my courses, and I'll just read them. I have a very funny way of reading. I don't read like people that can do all through the night or pick a book and stay with it for 30 minutes straight. No, it's not me. So what I would do, I would in the hostel, I would put my singlet on my shoulder, get my boxers or shorts, and walk to my friend's room and sit down. How are now? How are you doing? And I read climate is the blah 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 blah. So how are you doing? And what did you cook? And climate is the blah 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 blah. And that's what I did. That's how I read all throughout school. And so what happens subsequently is when I sit down in the exam hall and I just see what is climate, I try to remember how many people's room I read climate is. Remember what they cooked, remember what is on the door. Once I can get my mind there, I will remember what climate is. I can even make funny jokes in my answer sheet and about climate and different things, climate and weather. And some of my lecturers that were progressive, they enjoyed marking my scripts because you will not just see what is in the notes, you're going to see very interesting. It was so controversial that half of the department loved me, half hated me. Because why can't you just go straight to the point? Excuse me, sir, I know it, that's why I'm playing with it. I didn't just come to get the result. So after that encounter with procrastination, I told myself, never again. As long as I'm in this school, I am going to read every day until I graduate. And that's why if you shake me till tomorrow, I will discuss environmental management paradigms, I will discuss frontiers, things that I've not even read maybe in the past 2 or 3 years, but I will talk like someone, because of course I'm an authority. I'll talk like someone who is an authority because I'm an authority, because I read to know, not just to pass the exam. And I played with what I was learning and they are part of me until tomorrow. What are the major reasons? Now, because of, if I were talking to if I were talking to people who were a lot older and all of that, I can make this a little more academic and a little more captivating, but I want to come down to your level. Incidentally, I'm starting my grad school in the maybe next month. I'm studying international affairs and diplomacy because of the type of work that I do right now. So you are the first group of people that I'm speaking to before I get back into school. So just give yourself a snap of applause. So as I'm speaking to you as a student, I'm also speaking to myself. Yeah, you learned something new today, but give yourself a snap of applause. Snap, not slap, oh. Snap. So, what are the reasons for procrastination? Because we don't have so much time, I'm breaking it down to just two. The first thing is ignorance. One of the major reasons for procrastination is ignorance. See, Shebi, all of us know social media now.
Yes.
You know, if you know, you know. If you know, you know. And if you don't know, you don't know. So if you don't know that you are procrastinating, you don't know. How many of you knew that instead of doing a round of applause, you could just snap like this, generate some little noise, and at the same time you are getting the people involved and you are not making so much noise? How many of you could do it before? I can just see like 2 hands there. But all of you now, you know that instead of saying, give a round of applause, bah, 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 you are creating so much noise. You can just snap, right? And not make so much noise. Now you know, don't you know? Now you know that, you know what procrastination is, and what is procrastination? Now you know that it can just be explained like this, you know. If you don't know it like you know it. So a lot of us, sadly, because even our parents, our institutions, name it, our government, something very funny happened, and let me explain this ignorance. Something very funny happened, and just tie it to procrastination. A lot of you were alive here when we had this cash scarcity just before you were born now, just before the last election, where we had to suffer to get money. After all that suffering, what did our government do? They procrastinated. They said they were going to ban the old notes at a particular time, made us suffer. Then they procrastinated. They shifted that ban. Till tomorrow, have they banned the old notes? No. If they wake up tomorrow and say they want to ban the old notes again, will you and I take them seriously? No. And they've been trying to do it since, but we can't take them seriously because they procrastinated. And if I did not explain it like this, has it ever crossed your mind that the government was procrastinating? No. And so we are modeled. It's being shown before us that this is how to live life. I'm going to wash my uniform by 6 o'clock. Then 6 o'clock reaches. Oh, don't worry, I'll just wash it by 8. Then sometimes you now wake up by 5 a.m. Boom, my uniform. You now tie the towel. Now squeeze it. If you can relate, please. But if you live in a household, in an environment where they don't procrastinate, you know that when you say you are going to wash your uniform by 6 p.m., by 6 p.m. it will not cross your mind not to wash your uniform. Ignorance. A lot of us procrastinate because we don't even know that we are procrastinating. And let me tell you, this may just be a little bit above what you may understand right now, but I want to sow this seed for your future. You cannot do better than you know. So tell the person sitting beside you, you cannot do better than you know. I cannot do better than I know. A lot of people are Let me explain this quickly as I move on because of time, right? If you imagine that, how many of us have mistakenly scored 10 over 10 or something in a test, then they say, okay, they are going to represent us in a quiz or something, a class quiz or something, and we're like, oh my God, if you can relate. Did you mess up? You most probably did. Some of us will not, some of us will. Some of us, the reason we did not mess up is because, please give me your attention. You are not paying for this, just pay with your attention. The reason you did not mess up is because you did not know that you knew, but you knew. This is a little above your pay grade, but you understand as you get older. I just want to sow a seed. You did not know that you knew what you knew. It's a little above your pay grade, but I'll not go there. The second thing, let me just sow that seed and move on. The second thing that causes us to procrastinate is that we are yet to be clear on what we want. How many of us want iPhone 16? Please, let's do our signature. How many of us want iPhone 16? Come. How many of us want to come first in our class this term? Now, let me tell you, I want to distinguish this thing. They say if wishes were horses, beggars will ride. Have you heard it before? Yes. Do you know what that thing means? Yes. Let me try to explain it quickly. All of us wish to come first in our class, but only one person will come first in our class. And the person that will come first in our class doesn't necessarily wish to come first in our class this time. The person desires to come first. And what that desire does is that it makes that person that will come first to begin to read like the person that will come first. To begin to write their notes like the person that will come first. To begin to write their assignments like the person that will come first. That will begin to write their exams like the person that will come first. While all of us wish for it, the real person that will come first desires to come first. All of us want iPhone 16, but none of us have gone to price it. No, very few of us have even dared to ask our fathers or our mother, I want an iPhone 16. You understand where it is? But the person that desires it will not mind asking. Even if as you ask it, they are going to say, why do you need iPhone 16? Go ahead. They will still not mind. They will ask. That's the difference between a desire and a wish. And let me give you another very important, let me sow a seed in your life. It's above your pay grade, but let me sow a seed in your life. It's him that asks is that receives. You will not get many things in your life if you don't ask for it. Nobody will look at you and say, hey, you need 1 million for your rent. Oh, okay, take 1 million. Is he that asks is that receives? Is the person that knocks that gets the door open? Is the person that seeks that finds? You have to come to a point where you ask yourself, do I really wish to have this thing or do I desire it? The difference between a wish and a desire is that a wish is just saying, I want to travel to... Okay, so I'm to be in Cape Verde, Cabo Verde. in April, right? So a wish is I want to go for the Atlantic Music Expo in 2 minutes. Woo! Please just give me 5 more minutes. A wish is